What are you going to be doing over the next year, Mike?
A lot of things, I hope. I'll be continuing to podcast. I'm on the search for those interesting people, the Michaelas and the Shannons. I'd like to be maybe more provocative in my thinking to help people, to help those kind of people who think like that and can execute really well and help them execute those ideas. I have some ideas about how we may find those people, and then I don't know if I would be the person to do it, but I think that we can help connect those people with execution of their ideas and harnessing their passion into something that becomes real. And I think that people like Michaela and Shannon are a great example of people who intrinsically know how to do that. And I think we can teach people how to do that if that's not what you know how to do. So there's a lot of, and we could make a list of the things that I would technically do over the next year, but I think that that's the thing that's going to drive me. And if I look back at the year, a year from now, I think if we have found those people and we have helped even put a little water on their seed, then I'll look back and see that I was successful.
How are you going to go about trying to facilitate people's ambitions?
I'm not sure that I know the answer to that yet. I was just kind of thinking about that as a result of talking to these girls this week. I've talked to them before. I've talked to a number of kids, and working with a couple of the Moonbots competition team, which is an analog. Moonbots is an analog to the Google InterX Prize, so they have to do the same thing in Lego. And those are the kind of teams, those teams that are doing the Moonbots competition embody the same thing that these girls do. And I'm not sure I know the answer to that exactly, other than I know that an encouraging smile can be really, really important to someone. We had a conversation this morning about how, it's funny, the value of a smile. And I think if you can do that on a broader level, and even just being their coach would be something. I hope that Haley and I interviewed those two girls last year, and I hope that we were very encouraging to them. We were blown away with them then. They were less polished then. I think they've worked on their business plan then, but I hope that we were encouraging and that little smile did urge them on. So I think facilitating is maybe a detail that I haven't worked out, but I know that we can help connect them with the people that can, write business plans and those kind of things, but also help them understand that their idea is valid. And that in itself is facilitating their success, I think. I was afraid when I came to the conference that I was going to be discouraged. I don't know if I was, and I'm leaving energized, which is a good thing. That's a successful conference, I think. You're around your peers that are like-minded, and so I'm very encouraged to see SpaceUp taking off. It's a new take on conferences. Chris Radcliffe is here. I did SpaceUp DC, and it was successful. It wasn't perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. It was an experiment. I told everybody it was an experiment, but I think it helped validate the SpaceUp concept. So SpaceUp is a very unstructured kind of conference where everyone in the audience gets to participate, which is a lot like we're talking about doing with space exploration, right? So it's not for everybody, but it is something that's really appealing to those kind of people who do like to participate. And instead of someone standing on a stage and saying, this is what you need to learn and take home today, you get to participate. And it's, as a concept, it's really compelling to a lot of people, and it's very off-putting to a lot of people, and it makes people uncomfortable, which I think is great because that's where ideas are spawned, in your uncomfort. And I often say that I gauge what I'm going to do next based on how uncomfortable it's going to make me, because if it's something that's going to make me real uncomfortable, that's probably the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, even if I am a little bit afraid to do it. And that's what SpaceUp's really about.
What else do you write about?
It's a lot of it. I've been really interested in the prize competition and in general, prize competitions in general. So I've done a lot of that this year. I've done a lot of research on Charles Lindbergh. I got to hold a handwritten letter by Charles Lindbergh this year at the Smithsonian. So I've done serious research on it. But I really try to look at things that are more big thinking items. What are things that are we thinking about that are interesting? I'm really interested in kids who like to play with space stuff, who are imagining space things. I have 3 nephews who don't watch TV and just build space stuff out of Legos. And I don't think I had very much to do with that. That's just the kind of people they are, and I think that those kind of kids are really interesting, who imagine a world and then they start building it on their level. As a 5-year-old, their level of creating the world they want is with Lego. And I think that those kind of people are the kind of people who then as adults go and build it out of, real things that aren't just Lego. So those are the things that I have been writing about and will continue to write about. I think that transition of not knowing that you can't do it, and if we as adults can forget that it can't be done, because it probably can. I think our excuses for why things can't be done are wrong almost always. I think we can do pretty much anything we want. That's not to say that it'll be easy, but those are the kinds of things that I'm always looking to write about. And I'm definitely looking for ideas for writing along those lines. We take guest writers all the time. You have to know how to write. I don't want, and you have to be subject to editing if you don't know how to write. So, but yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that I'm interested in writing about and speaking about. I'm doing quite a bit of speaking publicly on that. I'm doing a number of public events in Baltimore in August and September along that same kind of inspiring kids to reach for what they want, kind of speaking. And so it's writing and speaking and podcasting and collaborating with people who can help connect those dots.
You mentioned Moonbots, the Moonbot program.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that.
So Moonbots is an analog to the Google Lunar X Prize, where they have to do with Lego what the Google Lunar X Prize teams do. Now, Shonda Gonzalez at the X Prize Foundation, who's just a brilliant person, has recognized that there's a lot of value in connecting the Moonbots teams, who are kids, who have to do something in Lego. They basically have to build an autonomous robot and go and do certain goals on the moon. It's sponsored by Lego, so she recognizes that connecting those kids with the teams, the Google Lunar X Prize teams, is good for both competitions. And that's something they've been doing this year. So all the Moonbots teams were asked to choose their favorite Google Lunar X Prize team. And some of these kids did these terrific videos of side by side. Here's what our favorite team is doing. Here's what our rover does. And they did these wonderful side by sides where I think that they're realizing that what they're doing is a step to, in their 20s, being able to do the kind of exploration that these real teams are doing. And then there is value in doing a Lego analog of the prize in their age group, right? They're learning skills that they're going to need to do actual exploration. And getting something like a place like Lego, who just, make brilliant little plastic things that are, like little idea factories involved is great. And the kids that do that kind of stuff, who would, for no recognition, they don't get credit in school. I mean, it's hard. The kids that do that kind of thing they just totally blow me away. I'm constantly flabbergasted by the kind of kids who will turn off the TV. And I constantly hear about how that generation of kids they just sit around and they watch video games, or they play video games and they watch TV and they don't do anything. Well, I'm finding the opposite to be true. There are certainly kids who do that, but there are so many kids who are not. And having this kind of competition that is an analog to real space exploration is just awesome.
That's part of the FIRST program, isn't it?
Well, I think it's related to FIRST. A lot of the kids who do the Lego competition are FIRST competitors, and I can't remember what FIRST stands for, but it's a robotics competition league, and they have age groups. And all the teams that I've talked to do FIRST also. So I think they're kind of tied together. I don't know if they're necessarily sponsored by each other or not.